Whee! Control tab, shift control tab. Whee! Hi, I'm Ryan from Educate.me, and today we're going to look at my favorite Windows shortcuts. Now I listed 10, but there's actually more than 10 because I kind of grouped a couple of them together that are related. Now, why do we want to use keyboard shortcuts? Anytime you have to take your hand off the keyboard, it slows you down. So if you're moving your hand off the keyboard to use the mouse and then moving back, it is a little bit of time. You might not notice it, but it does slow you down. When you can do everything from the keyboard, you can do things a lot faster, and it makes you look like some elite hacker, and it really impresses people. So maybe you do this to impress people and to make you faster. Two bonuses. I'm going to bring up, and we're going to use a Google document to demonstrate a bunch of these. Now the first one I'm going to show is Ctrl C for copy and Ctrl X for cut. Now, you know these already, and you're like, why are you wasting your time with this? This isn't necessarily for you because I know you know these. It's as you help other teachers and students use these two shortcuts for them to understand what's going on. I had a student, he was a junior in high school. When he wanted to cut text, he would highlight it, he would do Ctrl C, and then he would do Ctrl X because he did not understand that Ctrl X would copy and cut in one move. So let's go through those. So that's why we're going over this, just so they understand what's going on. The first one is Ctrl C. If I highlight text with Ctrl C, it looks like nothing happened. It took that highlighted text and put it in the clipboard. Once it's in the clipboard, we can paste it somewhere else. And this is part of the Ctrl X, Ctrl C, and Ctrl V, we can paste it. And the reason it's Ctrl V is because this is in the bottom row of the keyboard, and that's why they selected it. So our first one is Control Copy. It takes whatever's highlighted, puts it into the clipboard, which is this special memory of the computer to store that information, so you can go to somewhere else and paste it. Control X copies and cuts the text. That student that I was talking about thought Control X just deleted what was highlighted. He didn't understand that Control X copies it and then cuts it. So if I do Control X on this, that paragraph goes away, and I can go into another document and I can paste it with Control V. So Control C copies the text and we can paste it somewhere else with Control V. Control X copies and cuts the text into the clipboard, and then we can paste it with Control V. So that's our first keyboard shortcut. It's 3, but it's a bonus. Second is Control Z and Control Y. Control Z Control Z undoes what you just did. I tell people all the time, if you all of a sudden your whole document's all screwed up, Control Z, Control Z. Now, depending on the software, most software nowadays has multiple undos, so every time you do Control Z, it takes you a step farther back in time through your document. Some software only has one level of undo, which will only take you back one step and then you're stuck. Most software today has multiple levels, so you can go all the way back. So our document here, if I do Control Z, we've only had one step on this. I pasted. Control Z will take us back to the normal document. In my other document that I cut that out of, I can do Control Z and it takes me back to where I was. So Control Z took us back one. Control Y is a redo, which will move us forward. Let's say I deleted a bunch of text. 1, 2, 3. I want to restore it, so I'm going to hit Control Z. That's going to do our third step that we did, that I cut. I'm going to do the second one. Now I realize, oh, I don't want to keep that. So if I do Control Y, it's going to redo my delete, and it's going to be gone. So if you get a little Ctrl Z happy and you go back too far, you can do Ctrl Y to start bringing you back through the steps. I went back all 3 levels there, and Ctrl Y will bring me back through my undo automatically. Back through and redoes everything in my undo. Most of the time you're going to use Ctrl Z, but sometimes you get a little Ctrl Z happy and you got to redo that step again. So you can do Ctrl Y and it'll redo it. Next up, these are usually in your browser. I've got several of them here that we're going to go through. The first is Ctrl L. Ctrl L, that's a bad example because, let me go to a website here. Okay. Ctrl L will take me to the location bar. It automatically highlights it. Here is your bonus for today. If the text is highlighted, you can just start typing. I see people all the time, the first thing they'll do after they go up to the, if you use the Ctrl L, or if you click up there, it does the same thing. Ctrl L though is faster because you don't have to put your hand on the mouse. If that text is highlighted, you can start typing and it'll go away. A lot of people will Ctrl L and they'll immediately hit the backspace. That's one extra key that you don't need to do. If it's highlighted, you can just start typing. So Ctrl L takes you to the location bar so you can go to another website pretty fast. Ctrl T opens up a new tab. Instead of moving the mouse and having to hit that plus, Ctrl T will open up a new tab. And it'll automatically put the cursor where you need to type, so I can just do Ctrl T and start typing a website and I can go to it. If I accidentally close a tab, Ctrl Shift T will restore that tab. That's a lifesaver when you get a little close happy. Ctrl Shift T will restore those tabs that I just closed. So Ctrl T will open up a new tab. Ctrl Shift T will restore a closed tab. In a browser and in a lot of Windows applications, Control Tab will go through the tabs or the windows of that application. So instead of, you can grab the mouse and click on the tab, which might be faster, but if you can see, I just want to go to the next tab. Control Tab will take me right there without taking my hands off the keyboard. Shift Control Tab will go backwards. Whee! Control Tab, Shift Control Tab. Whee! This is just a Chrome bonus, another Chrome bonus keyboard shortcut. Control and then one of the number keys will take you to that specific tab. So if you know that you want to go to the third, fourth tab here, Control 4 will take you to there. And Control 9 will always take you to the farthest most tab, no matter how many tabs you have open. When we are on a web page or in a document and you want to find a specific word in that document, we did a search on Google, we came to a web page, and the web page is really long and we want to find out where that instance of that word is. Control F brings up the find. So I can type in the word I want to find and then I can click these little arrows. But that's not what we want to do because we want to keep our hands on the keyboard. So after I type in my word, I can hit return and it'll take me right to it. So let's try that again. Control F and I type in the word I'm searching for and hit return and it'll take me to the word. And actually it took me to the next one because you see it's on 3 out of 11. Every time I hit return, it goes to the next result on that page. So I can easily go through the page and find the word I'm looking for without having to skim through it really quickly. Also, along with the return going to the next one, Ctrl G will also go to the next result. So when you're on a web page, Ctrl F, stream, or whatever you're searching for, return or Ctrl G will take you through each one. Lickety split. Now, if you have multiple applications open, our next one is Alt and Tab. And under Windows, we get a nice little thumbnail of all of our open applications. So I can do Alt Tab and quickly jump to another application. Shift Alt Tab, remember Shift Control Tab in the application went backwards through the tabs. Shift Alt Tab goes the other direction. So this is Shift Alt Tab. It's going right to left, and Alt Tab goes left to right. Now, I don't have that many applications open, so it doesn't really matter to go back and forth, but if you have 10, 15 applications open, that might be a little bit faster to rotate through. And you can also, I'm breaking my own rule here, once you do the Alt Tab, you can also use your mouse pointer and click and go right to the window that you want. So that's two different ways. Now, when you're editing a document, you can use the arrow keys and they move you one at a time. Well, that's boring. Hold down the Control key and it moves a word at a time. Makes it a lot faster to get to where you want to go. And up and down moves between paragraphs. So holding down Control, I can go back and forth a word at a time. A lot quicker than hitting left or right a million times. If I want to delete, so we all know that the backspace key, you know, the key up here, that deletes to the left of the cursor. The delete key, which on my keyboard is I have to do because it's a small keyboard. It's not a very good keyboard for this example. But the delete key, spelled D-E-L, will delete text instead of the backspace key deleting it from the left. It'll delete it from the right. And a bonus sneeze. So if I use the function, if I use the delete key, and look, it's deleting text on the right. Kind of nifty, because sometimes if I wanted to delete, let me return this back to normal. If I am on this word here and I want to delete that word, normally you'd have to hit left a bunch of times, or you'd have to move your mouse pointer over there and then hit backspace. Well, instead of that, if you're on the left side of it, just use the delete. And that gets rid of it without you having to do more work. And along that same line, Control backspace. Remember Control left and right moved by words? Control backspace deletes words at a time. I just learned this one, and that is so handy. Being able to delete words at a time. And Control delete will delete words on the right. So Control backspace will delete words to the left of the cursor. Control delete will delete words to the right of the cursor. Hopefully you got something out of those. I know some of them were basic and you probably used them before, but now you might have a better understanding, and you might have a better understanding of how other people might not quite understand how those work. As you're just getting started out, you're going to forget how to do some of these things. What I would recommend is you write down the shortcuts on a Post-it note and then put them on your monitor. Put them on the laptop, on the wrist support. Put them just somewhere where you can always see them. And don't try to do, we went through, I don't know, on my list here, 20 of them. Don't try to do all of them at once. bite off and just do a couple at a time that you think you'll get the most use out of, and then you can slowly start adding more and more onto that. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video and check out my website over at educate.me. Stay classy.